Welcome, everybody, to Tammy Tuesday. We're happy you're here to join us on the podcast of Life, Love, and Purpose. I have one of the very best guests. I'm super humbled, honored, and grateful to have him here. He needs no introduction. Mark Victor Hansen, of course, most known for his Chicken Soup for the Soul book series and many, many other things. Yes, there it is. He's an amazing motivational speaker and has done, made some serious movements in this world for some beautiful purpose. So thank you so much for being here, Mark.
My pleasure. Well, you and your husband are great friends, so we just think the world of you guys. How's that?
Well, we feel the same way about you and Crystal. Honestly, as we've gotten to know you, I feel like as couples, we have a lot of synergy. Our relationships seem to function very similarly. We both have mad respect for our spouses, all four of us, and we love to partner together and do amazing things together. And so I think that's why we resonate so well.
Perfect. I agree with all that.
Yeah. Yep. So, like I said, I'm really happy that you're here, and I know you are a very, very busy and popular guy. So, thank you so much for taking the time to spend here with us and reach the listeners that we have here on this platform. We talk a lot about lots of different things, and purpose is one of them. And you, I feel, have done such an amazing job in your life of filling a huge purpose. And I really am curious about how that started for you, because these things don't just magically happen. They evolve. And I would love to hear a little bit of your story around how you really stepped into what you're doing and where it came from.
Well, I believe freedom is the whole deal, and there's 4 freedoms you got to have, and I'll get to purpose. But freedom number 1 is you got to have money freedom, which means whatever that is to you, 100,000, a million, 10 million, whatever the number is, there's a number, and you got to have that in writing. You got to figure out what you want, and we wrote a book called Ask, so you can figure out how to do that. And then once that's in writing and you have your money, then you get to have time freedom, because money buys your time freedom, so you can have vacations. You can go to, like this Sunday, our little grandkids are on when this airs, it will have happened already, but my little grand twins, who you've met, will be performing at the Phoenix Suns on stage in Midtime. So that's like way cool. But we got time and money to buy the tickets to go to crazy expensive games when they're superstars. So money freedom, time freedom, relationship freedom. So we have a relationship with you and your husband, and we've been to exciting places together, everything from church to fundraisers for animal care, right, and charitable events. And then what it really comes to is you got to have those 3 to get number 4, which is the one that's critical, which is what you asked about, is what are you passionately purposeful about? And whatever that is, we wrote this little book here called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Everybody came in coded at birth with a destiny, I believe. And I think you believe that.
I do.
And Sweetykins does. But the bottom line is that most people go their whole life saying, well, I got a job, I'm an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a garbage man. It doesn't matter what it is. And they think that's our purpose. That's not their purpose. It's not. That's why I teach, and I've taught financial freedom my whole life. In addition, Chicken Soup, our second biggest series is 1 Minute Millionaire, which is Flash Richest Kids, and all those books I wrote, 7 of them in the series. And the point is, everyone's got to have the money freedom to buy time freedom, to have relationship freedom. So you get because I'm about figuring out how do we make the world work for 100% of humanity to make it physically, economically, and spiritually successful.
Yes.
I don't know anyone else trying to do that exactly. I mean, I was inspired by my teacher in grad school, Dr. Bucky Fuller, when I spent 7 years with him. But, nobody else tried to do that. He sort of said, I give you the Holy Grail, Mark, go do this. And I said, yes, sir. He was an admiral, so it was yes, sir, like this.
Right. Yeah, it's you. I will say this. You touched on several things that I want to talk about. One of them is relationship freedom. And you and Crystal do such a beautiful job of prioritizing what matters to you. And you have such a beautiful work-life balance, and you really, truly enjoy life and live it. And that is because of all the 4 pieces that you just talked about. I feel very strongly that you have figured it out. You have the golden ticket, and so many people seek that in their lives. And you've written amazing books around these things to help teach people. And it really comes down to understanding how it works and putting those things into motion and realizing that you have all of that power within us. And you're so good at talking about that. Talk about that a little bit, because you're all about manifestation and creating this life by design. So how do you help people figure that out?
Well, okay, so back to, it sounds like I'm selling a book. I'm just telling you that if you want to read about how I did it, the 20th anniversary issue of Chicken Soup, we did what I wanted. What I wanted to do is have the perfect wife, right? My ideal wife. So
I love this story, by the way.
I said, you got to figure out what you want. It's got to be in writing. You got to visualize it to realize. I did a whole set of tapes on it. And then you got to have a team to get your dream, a mastermind alliance where you come into third new consciousness. But I wrote down literally 267 things I needed in my ideal wife. Mm-hmm. Now, most people are so superficial. I just want eye candy. If you're a man and a woman, I want him tall, dark, and handsome. If he could be rich, that'd be like way cool. But I wrote down simple stuff like she's got to be a superb conversationalist because, all kinds of things. But she's got to be wise, witty, wonderful, imaginative, monogamous, philanthropic before I showed up. Fun to be with, smile, clean, neat, and smells good naturally. Cooperative. Those are all the positives because I think it's too superficial to do what I said. And then on the negatives, she cannot be a smoker because I'm not going to kiss an ashtray.
Right.
And we're going to kiss every day. And number two, she can't be an alcoholic because my mother was, and it's just too painful and dreadful and awful. And everybody's got alcoholism or some addiction in their family. Can't be a drug user. But you write all that down and then you can synchronize with it. And most people have never written down what they want. So, and the same with our goals. Every day we pray and meditate together for an hour, and we try to write down 10 new things every day that we want. Because if you're going to make your life, you're supposed to expand exponentially. If you're made in the image and likeness of God, and God has an exponentially expanding universe, then us as an individual are here for three reasons: create, contribute, and be charitable. And you got to keep writing that anew so your mind stays awake, because most people say, well, I'm going to make them, whatever it is. Let's just say $1 million. That's not enough to retire on. You and I know that living in Arizona.
Right where we live, no way.
Yeah, you can blow that quick. Anyhow, in less than one house, a fraction of a house here. Right. So where you and I live. So the point is, what is it you want to do? And then what kind of vacations do you want? What do you want for your kids and your grandkids? And what do you want them to be purposefully on purpose? And with your permission, because we're a high performance family like you are, our little 12-year-old who you've met, grandkid Everett, does 103 points a day before he goes to sleep. Now, why does he do that? Well, he's straight A's, and he ran for student body presidents in sixth grade out in Gilbert, Arizona, and won again. And 800 little girls said, "Oh, but he's a very handsome, cute little superstar athlete." And he's not interested in girls; he's only interested in basketball, which makes Grampy really happy at this moment.
Right.
But he says, Grampy, at because you've taught me because you got to set a goal to get a goal. A goal is a vision of a future plan that you realize. He understands Grampy's affirmations and quotes and all that. He says, at 18, I'm going to be a Phoenix Sun, and I'm going to make $30 million a year. I went, holy cow! And I said, he said, then I'm going to be the coach of the Phoenix Suns. I said, good. Then what? He said, then I'm going to own them. I said, right now that's $3.8 billion. You know that ain't my money. And he said, no, I earn my own money. I earn $20 a day. He does is about $1,000 a month, and he's 12 years old.
Wow.
He waters the plants. He walks the dogs. He's in a good neighborhood, but
he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And he understands that Grampy said everybody's got to be an entrepreneur today. Mm-hmm. And I mean that. And that means you find a problem, solve it, fix it, scale it, and then make a profit. And he got so many clients, he hired his two twin sibs, the little ones, to do all the work because he loves going out and selling. He says, you taught me how to do this, Graham, and not be scared of anybody. I mean, I was a top salesman selling greeting cards at 9 years old because my parents had no money.
Right.
So I had to start buying my own clothes, and I sold $376 of Christmas cards for American greeting card in 1 month.
Oh my gosh. I didn't
want to sell greeting cards. I wanted clothes and a bicycle. And my dad took that money, put it in college, and because he was only limited education, he knew I had to go to college, but he couldn't explain to me why he was taking my money to save for college.
Wow.
I'm thankful Dad did it. He unconditionally loved me, but he couldn't explain what's the deal here. Why am I getting robbed of 50% of my bread here?
Right. Well, you touched on something too that you do as a daily practice, and this to me is crucial, with all of these things. And that is meditation and prayer and really getting centered and aligned. So talk about that, because that practice is everything. And it has such deep purpose for people to be able to do these things and accomplish those things.
And there's lots of ways to do it. We just did a book, as you know, on Reverend Ike, who really taught me to meditate clearly and visualize stuff back when I was bankrupt and upside down 50 years ago, because he'd have 5,000 people at the United Palace close their outer eyes, tilt their inner eyes up, and take you on a trip. I see yourself on a stage of your imagination. I see where you're going to go. So that's one form of meditation. The other form of meditation is like clear-mindedness. Third form of meditation is I'm now representing and spokesperson and owner of a company called Nucalm, Nucalm, calm.com. And they'll give you free 30 minutes of meditation. All Americans that are doing anything serious can't sleep at sometimes because you wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back. So Nucalm's got all these great binaural products that you listen to, and it transitions you into elevated consciousness, because what I believe, and I think you believe, the soul is where everything's possible. That's what Christ said. Comes back to mind, where you think, brain, where you were taught in school, body, which it goes out and does the result. But you start up here in higher states of consciousness. So meditation and prayer is where you get to higher states of consciousness, where there are no limits, because there's no time and space in that level of consciousness. And when you, like, I saw myself when I was bankrupt and upside down as a commandingly good speaker with a brand at command. And then I saw myself as world's best-selling author, which I got to say that when we came out with Chicken Soup and Jack and I had the right title, 144 publishers turned us down. It's my fault, not Jack's. I wrote the business plan because I say you got to write everything and make it clear. And I said, we're going to sell 1 billion books. And if you were Random House, I had a Random House, and it is run by a woman now who's a dear friend, Tina Constable, but you'd go and go, guys out to lunch, nobody's ever sold 1 billion books. Well, no, they haven't, because I haven't done it yet, but I'm halfway to goal. I've sold 500 million.
Yeah.
And I'll hit 1 billion. I'm going to be 127th options for no, because again, back to being on purpose, I wrote it down because Genesis 6:3 says you're supposed to be a minimum 120. Well, if that's a minimum, then I want the maximum, because I'm really enjoying my life. Now, if you're having a dull, boring life, it's your fault.
Right.
You can only be bored if you're boring. And I don't find you or Eric ever boring, not 10 seconds, not 1 second.
Oh, thank you. Well,
until today. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's funny. Obviously, we feel the same about you. You are a fascinating soul and human on this planet that's doing amazing things. And we feel the same way. I love that you talked about writing it down and putting it into play. And that's what helps people visualize it. But it's like you said, it starts up here, right? You're starting with your visualization. You saw this first. And then all of a sudden you wrote it down and you created it, because we are creators. We came here to create. That's what we're here to do.
No, you're here for imagination. Everything starts in imagination or imagination. And the point is, what you imagine is what you will create. So if you say, I'm going to be sick, or, oh my God, flu's going around, or COVID, or any dumb thing you want, you can pick any, or I'm going to go bankrupt because the economy is going to have a hiccup. You buy into that. Whereas if you hang out with the people you and I hang out with, they say, oh my gosh, we're going to go into the best times ever. Other people are going to be throwing away their assets. We're going to be collecting them. And that, so it's all state of mind that creates state of results. State of mind creates state of money, purpose, future. And so you got to control your mind. And when I went bankrupt because I was reading the New York Times, all the news fit to print. They forgot a word. It's all the bad news fit to print.
Uh-huh.
I immediately, thanks to Reverend Ike, shut all that off, only listen to him in positive. And my little speaking business, the first year out, I sold 20,000 copies at $10 each, 200,000. Today, 50 years later, that's like $2 million. Like that. I had a brand new Chrysler Cordoba car with Corinthian leather, and I was style and profile. I was going to plays in New York. Everyone's supposed to here to have fulfillment through fulfillment, because whatever you're excited about gets excited about you. Whatever you're seeking seeks you.
Right.
But no, I've just got a job and I crush beer cans on my hand when I'm watching TV and throw it. No, that's not a good program.
Yeah. Well, you said something that I feel very strongly about, which is, what you put energy into is what you get. And when you're, like you said, you were ingesting bad news, and therefore you were stuck in sorrow. And when you start eliminating that, it's an algorithm in your life. I mean, it really creates your reality. when you feed yourself with the positive things and the positive outlook and the abundance and all of the things that come with that, the relationships, they show up when you start feeding that energy to it. It's incredible.
Whenever you energize, you realize, and everyone says, well, it must be easy for you to sell books. No, it's no easier for me to sell books than anybody else. I just put 100% attention on it and manifest sales when you can't. Like when we came out with the Ask book, it was the first days of COVID. We had, as you know, Jim Hibbett's got us a talk with 11,000 people in Washington, D.C. in the life insurance business where I've spent a lot of my life. It's one of my 4 markets, and 15,000 down in Florida. And the promoter calls up and said, look, because of the dang government, I've lost $5 million and they've closed all the convention centers. We can't have it and you're fired. And then my agent, the publisher of Post Hill, who's a dear friend. I love this guy. Anthony Zaccardi, he's still great. We do a lot together. So at Post Hill, he owns it. He was going to be President Simon Schuster, but Anthony calls up and said, hey, I think we should hold back the publishing of the book. I said, no. I take adversity and turn it into advancement. You don't do that, Mark Victor Hansen. Get clear. You only have 3 incontestables in life. You got what you just said, suffering. You got pain, and suffering, and problems. And what happens is I take problems and turn them into opportunities and cash them. So we'll figure it out. And we did like 421 podcasts because it was a brand new thing called Zoom.
Right.
And with shows like with 10 million people in Vietnam and sold books like crazy. And I've been to Vietnam 4 times. Crystal and I get paid $75,000 to talk to go there, and we do them in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh and all that. But the point is that the Vietnamese I'm trying to keep them capitalistically communistic, not like China, which is Maoistically communistic, which is dangerous. I am a total flaming free enterpriser, and I want everyone to understand free enterprise is the only system that works. Socialism's been tried, tested, and every time terrible for the people. And I'm for making 100% of humanity physically, economically, and spiritually successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more with that statement. And at the end of the day, Mark, we're all connected anyway, and that's why we're meant to work together and be successful and do these things. When you were talking about manifestation, the power of it. Well, let me go back. You actually said when you were going to publish Chicken Soup for the Soul specifically, you were turned down 144 times by publishers across the country. That is huge because people don't realize also. Again, you have to put things into motion, and you heard no a lot, but that did not stop you. You still had the vision. Nothing was changing you.
No, we had stacks of pink slips, and I taught Jack, because I've been selling since I was 9. Jack's 3rd in his class at Harvard and a genius, but he's an inside guy. I'm an outside guy, although all the stories are mine. I wrote all the seminal stories. Jack edited them. He's a genius that way, and we collated them right and did the right thing. But the publishers turned us down, and the joke I say, I'm teasing, of course, but they all said, hit the road, Jack. And it was true. And we ultimately got fired by our agent. I won't name him, but he said, look, you guys, this is a waste of my time. And I don't waste my time. You guys are a waste. But I was holding up the book at every church I talked to, all the insurance meetings, the chiropractic meetings, any of the meetings, real estate. I was doing all the franchises, Century 21, Remax, Keller Williams. And still great friends with all those men and women. And they all said they wanted the book. And so we finally went to BEA together with 3-ring binders on our backpacks. And we went to all the other booths. We walk in there and you, because I want you to get your book done with us at markvictorhansenlibrary.com. A guy comes up to me that's looks like Santa Claus, but is substantial in body. How's that? That's the nicest way I can say it. He's got a big, long white beard, and he kisses me on both cheeks. I have no idea who this guy is. And he said, you are coming here, and this is going to be your success. I got goosebumps. I thought, I hope that message from God to you, to me. I said, do you mind my asking who you are? He said, I'm Dr. Bob Fulgham. You know, everything I need to learn in kindergarten.
Right.
And Fulgham said, if you make a mess, clean it up. Real 10 little simple things. And he had written an endorsement of the book before it got published. So Bob read the book, and I said, wow, I've never met you, and you're so kind to us. I'm so thankful. And can I give you a hug of thanks? And it was wonderful. And then 3 days we go through and everybody's still turning us down at the last day. A little publisher company that we didn't know at the time was bankrupt. They were $17 million upside down. But the principle in math is, I'm going to ask you the principle. I hope you know it before so I don't embarrass you, but a negative times a negative equals a
positive, negative.
Right. Right. So they were in trouble. I didn't know it. I was in deep trouble because respectfully.
You needed each other.
Yeah. We needed each other. And we ultimately made that guy a billionaire, and he's got all the road. He's down in Florida, but he's got all the roads named after him down there, and good for him.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, that one of the things that you do now too is, like you said, your publishing company, which I know we are destined to work together, and we will. It's coming. I see it.
Your story's too good not to be shared. And we've been with the woman who told me that story about you. So it's just critical.
I know. It's coming. I see it. It'll happen. But what I was going to say to you that I love about how you approach this and other people is everybody has a story. When you have a book in you, really, that is one of my biggest core principles about everybody that walks this planet. Everybody has a story to tell and a story to share. And it's incredible if people could step into their power and recognize that they do. It just creates a better place.
Thank you for saying that. And that's what we believe. Our motto at markfictionlibrary.com is we take your impact story, bring it to life. We ghostwrite it because of a lot of reasons, and in the front of that book that you have a book in you, which I wrote, which I have somewhere behind me here, is I've written 321 books. So I'm sort of addicted to writing, and people say, well, they just fall out of the sky. No, they come out of my mind.
Right.
But God, you talk before we do. Anyhow, it is important to do your story, and we'll fictionalize it because a lot of people are doing stories that you just can't do. Like we're doing the former head of Mossad, who's obviously dusted a lot of people, sort of like a 007, right? He had a right to carry. He can't name names because that would put him in jail. So we're calling it Rabbi Rambo. Isn't that a cool title?
What is it called? Rabbi Rambo?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Jewish. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it works, and it is a great book already. We've done it anyhow. And then on the other side, nonfiction, you do your story about whatever it is you do, but then there's a third part that we've started, which is in nonfiction, like our friend and the minister, Sarah O'Mara, who's 90 years old. And she said to me when she was 88, I'm 88. I can't do a book. I said, Sarah, you don't have a book. You got to have a book. And she wanted to call it Conduit. And I said, no, I'm the best title guy according to Guinness Book of Records. Won 3 world records. We call it Healed, and the book sales have just skyrocketed.
I know.
One gold label. And you've seen the church go from, she calls it a little chapel here in Arizona, and she said, I can't fit into people. I turned down 75 people. I turned down 200 people.
I know.
And she says, I think I should blame you. I said, no. There's no blame. So what are we doing? We're making the church bigger so it fits. We're blowing out the back and blowing out the front. We said, we'll give you some money to do that because, you're doing the right thing, and she heals people on the spot, as you know. So then the third thing is everybody that has a little bit of money has got to do a biography. And the reason is not because I want to do it for them. It's that if you have money and you give it to your kids, you've entitled your kids and you've stolen the golden opportunity, what you call golden ticket a minute ago. You got to teach them 5 things: your values, your principles, philosophy, your trials and tribulation, because they think it was easy for anybody, whoever made a lot of money.
Right.
But the last thing, number 5, there's only 3 people that ever did it before we teach people to do it, is your expectations of the kids and grandkids and the 5 generations forward that you're going to buy books and give out. And 3 guys are my hero, Andrew Carnegie, who gave libraries to the world, right? And then number 2 is Rockefeller, who his kids have gone on to do a lot of stuff. And then Kennedy's, who's had 2 attempts at president. We got a guy, this could be being watched 2 years now, and they'll know whether RFK Jr. won or lost, but he's now got a partner that's got $100 billion because she was married to a little guy that started Google, and she's pretty rich. So she says she's putting her money in winning. And if money could buy politics, which the joke there, and I might be going too far, but I hope you don't mind, but Will Rogers says we have the best politicians money can buy.
That is a sad but true statement.
I'm not saying anything bad about her or.
No, I know. I hear you.
I love the Kennedys, and I got a great story about Kennedy if you want to hear that. But
yeah, well, the thing that I love most about you, Mark, is that you are You're just honest. You're very real. What you see is what you get. That is really, truly why I love being around you, because you are just a true, genuine soul. And I feel the same way about Crystal. You two are just a light and a force and a pleasure to be around. Everybody that is around you feels that way. And you make everybody feel very loved and welcome. And I'm grateful. I have to ask you a question before we part.
Yeah.
I want to know, because as we're young, as we grow up in this world and this experience that we have here, how did you figure out that you had a connection that helped you guide you and receive, like you said, information from God to really create and know that you're bigger than what we think we are? How did that happen for you when you were young?
Well, when I was young, I learned how to sell. My mother was a great storyteller. My dad was a little entrepreneur with a little bakery, which he wanted me to desperately take care of. And I said, look, I'm a white gloved guy, Dad. I don't think any of we got four brothers. I don't think any of the boys want to take it. I love you and we love you and Mom and Dad, but I don't want to bake. I worked in this bakery and it's not a fun business for me, right? For him, it was a great business. So I sort of saw that you could do it. And then I got addicted to reading when I was 16 years old, by my English teacher, because we didn't have books in the home because parents spoke Danish. We were in Little Denmark. You didn't have to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I get with Reverend Ike, and he really got me to believe, because he came out of abject poverty born in 1935 in the South, being black's not like cool, and he had like 16 Rolls Royces and 8 mansions, and I'm white in an audience of 5,000. He had 20 million followers in America and 20 million in Africa. And
wow.
He's telling me, I expect you to do all this. And all of a sudden I'm teaching at I was a degreed man already, doctor, but a PhD, but he's having me teaching at the Business of Living Institute in New York. And I'm staying with the most powerful black people in the world, Del Reese, and I can name all of them, but everybody had to come through there. If you were black, that you just showed up at Reverend Ike's place. And I was there. If I was there on Sunday, I was at his church from 3 to 6 o'clock at night. And I was one of the principal people, and he'd drive around in his Rolls Royce with one of my chicken books or one of my books out in the back of the book. And his driver always says, I can't believe he likes you that much. Every book you come out with, he buys. And you write a lot of books. I said, I do, but I don't give them to him. He says he wants to buy it.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
He's a billionaire. So, and we became great friends. And he taught me that, you got to go to God in you, because that's when people say, where is God? Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an old gray-haired guy in a school. And Ike said, look, it's not a pie in the sky in the by and by. You got to have your pie now with ice cream on top. And I started to buy that, and I'm making a lot of money doing seminars 4 a day, and starting selling books like crazy. And then all of a sudden I learned I ought to be doing more books and doing my own private meetings. And I built a $100 million company with 397 people teaching people how to get rich. So it was like called Enlightened Millionaire Institute, but it was the gadfly. I teach that inspiration is the most important thing. And you see that inspiration, a key turns on your car so you can go wherever you got to go. Inspiration is needed. This is what I want everyone to hear every day. You got to listen to something positive, inspirational. You can watch my YouTubes or somebody else's. There are great ones now. There's never been so much good available information like this podcast ever in human history. And it's up to you. You got to discipline yourself to, like, there's not a day when I went to the village where you and I and families exercise. I listen to an hour while I'm, pumping iron, as they say, or running or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. You've got to feed yourself with that positivity, like we said before. That is everything. And you also, exactly. And you also said that it's within you. It is within us. It is our destiny. It's what we came here to do. So I love that you said that. It's very valuable. And I know you're limited on time, and I'm going to cut you free. I want you to know again how grateful I am. What is the best way for people to engage with you? I know you offer such amazing services. So what's the best way for them to find you?
If they're interested in the book, go to markvictorhansenlibrary.com. If they're interested in us teaching how to become a master asker, like our book where we teach you got to ask yourself, others, and God, go to thebookask.com. Thebookask.com, we give you free videos. And because we want, if everyone learned to ask, they would escalate themselves. Because everyone right now, as you know, yesterday, and this will be dated, and I'm sorry to do this, but $20 an employee per hour at McDonald's, which means your hamburger is going to cost $25, which I bought them at 15 cents each.
Right.
Which this is all stupid. you're not supposed to rest at McDonald's. You go to work at McDonald's unless you're going to buy it and become a franchisee. But if you're going to do that, go to Kentucky, go to Chick-fil-A because they give it to you free. So, if you'll just work there, you get a free Chick-fil-A or a free In-N-Out burger. It's just, people don't look around to find out what the opportunities are infinite. That's what I teach in my 1 Minute Millionaire. There's a million ways to make a million. One right, perfect, easy, acceptable way to everyone if they do what you just said, which is in our Ask book, we say, your destiny code's inside, but you got to release it by going 101 times in your deeper, innermost, highermost subconscious mind. Shut out all the world and say, God in me, what is my destiny code? God in me, what is my destiny code? And you do it 101 times. God in me, what is my destiny code? Be smart enough to have a pen and paper next to bed. Turn on a light, tell your sweetiekins, hey, I'm going to get up because Mark's a whack job. But if he's not a whack job and telling the truth, because it worked for him at least,
right.
I'm going to write down in detail whatever is said, because the weakest ink is better than the best memory.
Oh, for sure. Well, I agree with you. And you have to write it down and you have to ask. I say that all the time, Mark. You should know that. I talk about asking. It's such a huge piece of how I live. You have to ask. So again, thank you for being here. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful to know you and Crystal. You're beautiful people. And I'm just happy and honored to know you both. Thank all of you for joining us here on Tammy Tuesday, the podcast of Life, Love, and Purpose. We're grateful that you were here. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, comment. We love to see that feedback. It helps other people find this message, and leaving you with lots of love and light. And don't forget, life, love, and purpose, it all begins with you. Peace out.